Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the nerfed Colombo. Yes, 2 patches in a row they have nerfed this ship. Last patch, they gave it kind of a buff in my opinion. If you missed that video, it got better dispersion at close range, worse at longer ranges. This time they have actually nerfed it, even though, yes, the SAP still Citadels, light cruisers, and we can get a dev strike there rather easily. This is still 16 battleship guns after all. But they have, in fact, nerfed the ship this time. There is no, maybe this is a buff, maybe this is a nerf. It is a nerf. We now have 12,000 alpha damage on the SAP, down from 12,500 previously. So you shouldn't be having quite as powerful SAPs alpha. I'm sorry, I can't say that with a straight face. 12,000 alpha damage is still a ton for shells that essentially don't bounce, even at these very extreme angles, as well as don't have to deal with overpens, like battleship AP shells have to. That's the real strength of SAP shells in general. They pen at very extreme angles, much better than even Des Moines AP, right, that has improved pen angles. SAP is even better than that, and doesn't have to worry about overpens, which usually into cruisers you're dealing with as a battleship. Instead, that Zao just eats a ton of damage, though notably not the first salvo. You should notice a little more inconsistency from Colombo this update, and I did a little bit. 1.5 Sigma is what we have now. We used to have 1.6 last update, so that is the consistency, the shell grouping that we have out of the main guns. Now, with 16 shells, a slight Sigma change isn't going to matter that much because, again, we have 16 shells. That's a lot to saturate a rather small area. Because, yes, we are retaining that buff from last update, where at closer ranges, our dispersion gets much better. At long range, though, definitely a lot worse. In fact, 1.5 Sigma is actually what Colombo released with. That was the release Colombo Sigma parameter. And with this nerf to long range accuracy coming at the benefit of very good close range accuracy, it means that outside of 16 kilometers or so, this is a very inaccurate ship. Though the SAP shells can still land every once in a while and give you some massive damage. At close range, though, yeah, Colombo is still just stronger than it was a couple updates ago. This buff to the dispersion being very good at close range, worse at long range, is just a very good change for Colombo if you can keep it within 15 kilometers, certainly within 12 kilometers now, even with the Sigma change. It is a much more accurate, much more consistent experience, which I like, to be honest with you. Outside of SAP shells, I actually really like this change to Colombo. If we could nerf the SAP shells a little bit more, I would love it. I found myself wanting to try to swap to AEP more often. As you'll see, it's not always the right idea, but the AP can do very good work here. It's still a battleship, okay? The AP is still very strong on this ship. And considering this is a closer range focus ship now, considering the dispersion, I like that design, okay? What can I say? I wish that we had reverse Deadeye. Remember Deadeye from back in the day? Where you had to stay out, everybody had to be outside of your detection range on the enemy team, and you get a dispersion buff. I wanted the reverse of that, where if you were closer to the enemy, you'd get better dispersion. And that's what this buff to Colombo last update was. It just resulted in even more oppressive SAP, though, most of the time, which is why I was rather critical of it last update. This update, it's okay, it's still oppressive SAP spam, okay? I wonder, though, considering that the long-range dispersion is worse than even release Colombo. The alpha damage is now worse than we had on release. The Sigma parameter is the same as release Colombo. Is this a bit of a situation where we didn't realize how good Colombo was? And then because it didn't get played much, Wargaming buffed it so that people played it more. And now we've all realized how insanely busted the battleship SAP is here. And now there's no really going back, a bit of Pandora's box moment. There's no changing that now. Even if we went back to old Colombo, I think it would still have a pretty high play rate and very high alpha damage output, just because we all know how extremely powerful 16 SAP shells are. Although, notably, release Colombo was a little worse in a few other ways. Its rudder shift was like 18 seconds on release. I think that's more reasonable for battleships. My poor Montana up at 22 seconds. Colombo currently has a 15.3 second base rudder. That is very, very good. That's without rudder mod or anything like that. as well as the firing angles, okay? When bow in, Colombo can fire its guns at like 22 degrees forward. 16 guns, 22-degree firing angles is crazy. That allows the ship to stay perfectly angled. AP is going to auto-bounce at that territory. Colombo is a very tanky ship bow in, and it still has the exhaust smoke generator to get it out of bad positions, so it's pretty easy to just stay bow in a lot of the time. If you run into a lot of pressure, use your smoke, stop shooting, turn away for free, and then you can get into a kind of position thereafter, which allows Colombo to apply a lot more pressure than a normal battleship would. You can play a little bit riskier, again, feeding into this close range ability that Colombo is seemingly now going for, which I like. I do like that. I just have to temper that with this whole sap idea. This is going to be a massive salvo into this Yamato. 40k here feels very, very good. Again, these AP shells are extremely powerful. But consider that the sap shells have the same alpha damage, okay? The downside of armor piercing is they bounce, they shatter, they overpen, right? You're not consistently getting the alpha damage out of armor piercing, but it has high alpha damage. It makes sense that it would have those downsides, that it's not as consistent as high explosives, say. HE, it's not going to bounce. It will shatter still, certainly, but it's not going to have this overpen issue either. But the alpha damage is a lot lower, understandably so, because it is just more consistent. What happens then when sap shells have essentially the same pen angles as HE? It's not quite, I know, but given that the pen angles on the sap shells here are like 70 to 80 degrees, you're basically not bouncing these. But then you give it the alpha damage still of the AP. Remember, the alpha damage on the AP is 12,000. The sap is still 12,000, even with the nerf this update. So you're still better off just using the sap the vast majority of the time, unless you're guaranteed citadels. But even then, as we saw in the rune, sometimes you overpen, that sort of thing. It would have been better for me against that rune to just go with the sap into his upper belt, guaranteeing more hits, guaranteeing full pens, not overpens, that sort of thing. I wonder if it's just the sap shells still, guys. I am very glad Wargaming have touched the sap shells, nerfed them slightly. But for me, I think they should be like a midpoint between HE and AP as far as alpha damage goes. Not the same as armor piercing. I would love to see sap just across the board be like halfway between the HE shells and the armor piercing shells. Maybe 25% less alpha damage than the AP would have. Something like that. Otherwise, I think we still might just have a rather frustrating experience fighting Colombos. I tried to play a little bit further back as well in this one. We'll play a couple live games as well today. But I wanted to test out if I'm playing further back this campy play style with Colombo that we have seen in the past be quite oppressive on a flank, because it's a very tanky battleship. You're not taking it out anytime soon at these ranges. Can it still get those very frustrated deal with salvos? And into battleships, it can from time to time. Bit more inconsistency, certainly, but the sap still does quite good damage. I wasn't seeing as many, it still got them, but I wasn't seeing as many of those 20+ K salvos into angled ships at 17, 18 kilometer ranges. Much more so in that 10K alpha damage range, which still adds up, let's be honest, but it's not as oppressive as it was a couple patches ago, where we had the long range dispersion be better because we didn't have that close range dispersion change from last update, and we still had the alpha damage that we now have lost a little bit. I mean, 500 alpha damage at 12,000 it's relatively small, but it can matter, can make the difference between a 17K salvo and a 20K salvo, perhaps. I know that doesn't make too much difference in practice, but the vibes of it, perhaps. There's something about getting up over 20K on an angled ship at max range, for example. And I'm not seeing that here, which is a good thing. Or perhaps I should say I'm not seeing it as often. As am I not seeing Colombos that often. I know, purely a vibes-based thing. We'll have to see how the dust settles with this nerf, but perhaps people aren't actually going to play this ship as much, even though it is still extremely powerful. Given that smoke benefit, I do want to push up. Given our buff to our close range dispersion from previous update, I want to just push up and get closer. We got some strong DDs here, and not detected yet is kind of wild, so we can push this flank rather aggressively. Matchmaker includes a lot of DDs. Given that you're often facing destroyers at a little closer ranges, I would say this also is a big deal. Buffing our close range accuracy means more damage into those destroyers. Speaking of, there's a gearing. Sap not having a benefit against DDs is also a reason to maybe swap over to armor piercing more. Not always doing that, but it can be a good idea. Oh, is he just pushing for the island? I guess he is. Wait for a little bit of an obvious turn, or a little more obvious turn, perhaps, and... Oh, no! Oh, that's a filthy salvo to start. Anyways, nerfed Colombo. Yes. It's nerfed, guys. It's fine. It's fine. I haven't mentioned the legendary mod, but yes, I am still using the legendary mod. I know there are benefits now to, close range dispersion, so maybe we should be running our reload mod perhaps, but the dispersion upgrade is just too important for me personally. How'd this Schlieffen lose all his HP so early? Okay, well, I'll take it. With the nerfs to our dispersion, I suppose, also makes the legendary mod a little better. And here we go with a Sansonetti buff into this one. Wow, what a start. We have a very good team over here, clearly. I don't want to block my Zhao in. I thought he would still be reversing. Maybe we can avoid this yet without bumping our Zhao. I don't want to force him into the torp he may not have eaten otherwise. Very broadside Napoli. These firing angles are crazy. Okay, like look at how bow win I am here. We just got to get to 22 degrees. And, oh. And then I was going to say, we can fire our rear turrets at this Napoli yet before he angles away. Because our firing angles let us shoot faster when we're bow in like this. Okay. Ship is crazy. Ship is crazy. We also swap our shells rather quickly. Sansonetti plus Gunfeeder allows us to have the right ammo type almost always. No Hydro. We're getting very fortunate to avoid a lot of these torpedoes. Now, 15 kilometers. This is where we should be seeing it be a little bit worse, a little bit less consistent. Certainly outside of that. There we go. It bounces with the sap. Finally. Took a while. They got to be perfectly angled. Otherwise, the sap is definitely getting through. Gearing. Gets spotted. I could swap over to the AP. I'm not sure I'm going to get the opportunity into the gearing, though. So I would rather have the sap into the Vermont here, into his upper belt. Unless he goes flat broadside like that. In which case, let's shoot some more AP out of Colombo. Let's spread the message that AP Colombo is actually pretty good. Oh, look at how broadside he is, too. I'm intentionally aiming rather low here. That's pretty flat. Oh, no citadels, but excellent damage. Excellent damage. I mean, if we can nerf the sap a little bit more so we get a bunch of AP Colombo enjoyers out here, I would not be complaining about that. As it stands, I still think you're probably better off just spamming sap, but I mean, give the AP a go. It is legitimately a very good option, especially at these closer ranges. You see that dispersion, right? For 16 guns, at close range, it's better than main, probably. You have better firing angles. You got the get out of jail free smoke. You have, I mean, at close range, the AP pen difference isn't mattering as much to main. Like, main's an excellent super battleship, right? Colombo's crazy powerful. Yes, it got nerfed, but Colombo justifiably needed those nerfs, and maybe some more in my opinion. Again, we'll have to wait and see how the dust settles, but for me, this is, yeah, a very, very good battleship at tier 10. We miss out on the gearing, that's okay. 360 turrets as well. The ship is just so comfortable to play. It's just so comfortable to play. Thor is broadside for a little bit longer. Notice how he's going to turn away in time. I guess longer reload has its downsides in this case. Probably should be on the sap, so let's go to that, given that he's so angled. Obviously, Thor has a lot of torpedoes, so... Oh, he's so angled to us. Look at that. He's doing everything he possibly can to not eat 1 billion damage from the Colombo. I mean, it's still over 10k. Perhaps that would have been a 15k salvo previously, right? If we want to look at it that way. Not sure, but maybe. Can I avoid these? I can with burrows eating the salvo. Okay. Let's not push our friendly burrows out of his smoke. Close range dispersion says our Zhao gets him. Makes sense. All right, we had a good team in this one, obviously. So not even 100k. Fast games are the norm, right? So we'll include it. We'll include it. We can't be so picky to just only take the best of the best games that last a long time, because they don't exist anymore. Maybe because Colombo has so much battle impact early. Now, I know, we were playing very aggressive at close range. We would expect Colombo, even with the nerf this update, to look better than it did a couple updates ago, given that buff to its close range dispersion. So what happens if we get the super ship game? We're also on the submarine flank, and the guys who spawned with us are kind of leaving. So maybe we'll play a little further back. Now, this is the more frustrating, in my opinion, Colombo play, is when they pre-kite at max range and they would still get the 20k salvos, any angle, into you. That was the real tilter for me personally. So perhaps that has been addressed. I did not think the sub would actually get spotted so soon. Unfortunately, if I had saved my salvo, probably enemy sub would be no more. So it's 15k into this use now. I mean, it's better. It's better. Our kited angles are definitely worse as well. There he is. Get there, get there, get there, get there, get there, get there, get there. Come on, get there. Yes. Okay. Wargaming, don't nerf sap so much that we can't do that anymore. Please. It's the only thing that actually nukes submarines reliably. Oh, it feels so good. It feels so good. And we're turning back in because our team actually was playing the rock, which is very sensible from our Seattle, by the way. Makes a lot of sense. So let's turn in. I'm also holding AP more often when I see that there could be a potential broadside cruiser. Oh, that dispersion is absolutely filthy. Maybe that's also a good thing about this ship is... Oh, not the full health dev strike. Not quite, though. We're not just loading sap and holding sap the whole time. Although I was kind of doing this sort of thing anyway, perhaps. Yeah. I think most people will still just spam the sap. But the AP, it's worth using. Although now that he's low enough and the battleships here probably won't get citadel, we may as well just use the sap the whole time now, yeah? Oh, an angled Azumo. Now that's an interesting target. Aim upper belt. And we're at these closer ranges again, so we're expecting much more, right? Oh, wait a minute, only 10k. Wait, that's not so bad. Make sure we're angled to Colombo for sure. Now, this is it, right? Like, as a Colombo, you can tank for a long time. This ship is very, very strong. Okay, nice work, team. This ship is extremely powerful in just its ability to bow tank because look at these firing angles. It's crazy. All right, let's aim a little lower this time. Maybe I aimed too high in the last one. That might have been my problem. Team is getting into A. We're holding the flank. Wow, that wasn't even 10k this time. Wow. Also, we should expect Takahashi torpedoes, so let's be a little bit aware of that. Use our first heal as well. Colombo's just got a lot of armor. Good angles. The ability to go dark whenever, although it is nice that we have to think about that more with the legendary mod. There's those torps I was talking about. I probably shouldn't be pushing this, but it's really tempting to get the Azumo's broadside. And I think there's actually a G-Nan up here. No, the G-Nan's dead. What is that? Annapolis? Smolensk? Oh, Smolensk. Wait, is it a Smolensk? It is. It's angled, though. It's angled. It's angled. It's angled. Okay. Fine, fine, fine. Oh, wait, no. Zumo goes down. All right. We can stick with the sap then. Perhaps we'll be the ones spotting for the team. Angled to the enemy Colombo. All right, let's do it. Yeah. Not quite 10k. Smolensk smokes, understandably so. Oh my goodness. What is that? What is that? Tell me I have enough pen, please. Please, load the guns! Dude, the dispersion is so flat. Look at that. I don't have the pen! Oh, what a disaster. What a disaster. Oh well. Is what it is. This is definitely one of those games where the enemy team kind of played their spawn, and we have to push into them to, if we want to accomplish anything, which is a bad idea, right? Like, you usually lose a lot of HP this way. But we have the HP to spare, perhaps. I'm going to hold sap for the Smolensk, who I think should be running out of smoke right about now. Yeah, we angle in. It's fine. There he is. What to do? Keep pushing into these guys who are just kiting. Broadside Colombo, though. I know I'm using the AP an awful lot. But maybe that's good, right? Maybe that's good. 36. 36 feels great. Up to 147 in this one. We're picking our moments properly, I think. Certainly a very strange couple of games, but sometimes this is what we get, right? What is that dispersion going to do for us? That is supposed to be bad dispersion at range, yeah? Apparently it is still. Wow, I was expecting a depth strike given how it looked out of the barrels. Okay. Wait, long range nerfs? They exist. They may exist. Is there a round 2 in the cards for us? Potentially. Potentially. We're a little closer now. I mean, the dispersion still looks great at range, you know? Yeah, there it is. Oh, there it is. We got it. We got it. We got it. Colombo's great, man. The ship is still just so powerful. I think less oppressive at max range. I think so. I'm not seeing them as much this update, so I'm not as annoyed by them, I suppose. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below. A lot of vibes-based thoughts on Colombo here, because it's still early, right? A lot has changed on this ship over the last couple of updates, so hopefully Wargaming's got it right. I suspect it could still use some nerfs to this sap, personally. I really do. If you're wondering, the build looked a little something like this. We're still going for a full tank build, because the guns are really all that matter with this ship. And then, yeah, buffing the guns as much as we possibly can. So keeping ourselves alive, allowing us to push, bow in, that sort of thing. Stay angled with 50 mil deck armor, 70 upper belt, icebreaker even, a small superstructure. Colombo's still one of, if not the best tier 10 battleship. It is way up there still. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.